Good Friday to you. Hope your weekend is off to a great start. Thanks for joining the Weekend Winners Edition. We will talk Browns roster building with Browns beat reporter Dan Lobby. We'll also hear from two-time Horizon League Men's Basketball Coach of the Year. That's Cleveland State's Dennis Gates. He'll join the show a little bit later. We'll also head to Goodyear, Arizona to talk some Tribe with Tristan Mckenzie. But we begin tonight with some Browns news. So we're going to go all over the board as far as what the Browns are going, what the Browns are going to do, what we're hearing about the Browns. And when we talk Browns, we bring in Dan Lobby, Browns beat reporter here on cleveland.com, as well as in the pages of the Plain Dealer. Dan, you ready to start talking a little bit of Browns and some of the news going around the world?
Absolutely, and the NFL is just embracing this 24/7, 365 news cycle, and free agency hasn't even started yet, and there's all sorts of stuff going on already.
Well, this one kind of came out of the blue. Let's take a look at Jarvis Landry tweeting out, "If one door closes, that means bigger ones are about to open." All right, Dan, you've been around the team. You have your NFL decoder ring. Any idea what this one means?
This is really tough. I mean, this is sports in 2020, right? Trying to figure out what tweets mean, if they mean anything. And a lot of these athletes know they tweet something, it's going to make waves and it's going to make headlines. And you're trying to figure all this stuff out. There's a reality here with the Browns. And that's why you see this tweet and you kind of think about things. There's only so many receivers they can pay. There's only so many targets to go around. And once you get past that first and second receiver, that third guy is not going to get a bunch of targets. They're paying Odell Beckham a lot of money and Jarvis Landry a lot of money. Jarvis, if they did decide to move on from him, it would save them a lot of money. It would save them almost $11 million against the cap here this year. So, I don't know that I'm going to read too much into this and expect to see news about Jarvis Landry later. But the Browns do have decisions to make in that receiver room. It's one of the more intriguing things going on this roster. How does that look, and how different does it look heading into next season?
I've been kind of dismissive of the notion that they might part ways with Jarvis Landry just because he blocks. He does a lot of the things that they want from a wide receiver. But the reality is there is a finite salary cap that is going to be kind of crunching everybody this year in particular.
Exactly. And there's also the reality of there just aren't targets for receivers in this offense beyond really the first and second receiver. If you really break it down, and going back to Kevin Stefanski's year as the play caller in Minnesota, the number one receiver gets a bunch of targets. The number two receiver gets a bunch of targets. And then, just write this in pen. Kareem Hunt, Austin Hooper, tight end 2, whoever that is, whether it's Njoku or somebody else, those are going to be your next 3 guys on the target list. And then it's going to be your third receiver. So there's only one football. There's only so many targets to go around in an offense that really doesn't play more than 3 receivers. And that third receiver kind of varies who it is. So if you pay Rashard Higgins, if you're going to keep Odell Beckham around, if you're going to keep Jarvis Landry around, somebody's not going to be happy because somebody's not going to be getting targets.
Well, the other thing, you mentioned targets, and a free agent target for the Browns, J.J. Watt. Now, there have been reports circulating that there is a contract offer that he's received in the neighborhood of $15 to $16 million per year. That's not a surprise for a guy like J.J. Watt. You see his resume there. What are your thoughts on Watt, and even at that price?
I'd like the idea of bringing in Watt. I think that number is a little bit high. I don't know who's making that offer. It seems like maybe the Browns could be the team making that offer when you kind of look at the teams in the running and who have space and who could pay him that, say, tomorrow. But 15 to 16 million, especially if we're talking a multi-year deal, feels a little bit expensive. I was thinking more in that 10 to 12 million Olivier Vernon range. Maybe Watt doesn't want to settle for that. But I just don't think you're looking to bring in Watt long term. Look, if the Browns want to pay him $15 million for one season and then make a decision after that, I'd be okay with that. That's a little high of a price tag based on what I would pay him, but he's still a really productive player. My only real concern with him is, can he stay healthy for a full season? Because he hasn't done it in back-to-back years for a while.
Well, the other thing about that contract is, keep in mind the salary cap after this year is going to get a pretty significant boost. TV contract is up, and we're talking multiple billions of dollars in an increase from their TV revenue. So that's the important thing. The Browns have plenty of people to pay after this year. but there's going to be a significant increase in the salary cap coming after this year.
And we see it every year, too. Teams can maneuver the salary cap. They can restructure deals. The Browns, if they wanted to, speaking of Jarvis Landry, they could look at that deal and do a restructure on that. And you can free up cap space and you can make things happen. Are you going to free up enough cap space if you have a bunch of high-priced guys that you're going to have the most space in the league? No, but if you need to do something, you can usually find that cap space. And the Browns have been so good with rollover cap that they've usually had enough money to do what they need to do. And like you said, look, they're adding a 17th game most likely, either this year or next year, and that's just going to make those TV deals skyrocket.
Let's move on. Another guy that could be in the Browns' crosshairs as a target. This one would have to be via trade. Marshon Lattimore, the salary cap is not going to be kind to the Saints. They may have to find a way to trade Lattimore. Would you be willing to trade for Marshon Lattimore, a shutdown corner by all accounts, and what would you be willing to give up?
I would absolutely trade for Marshon Lattimore. Now, I don't know if the Saints would do it. I think as they kind of go through this process and they decide who they want to keep, who they want to pay, who they don't want to pay, it's really hard for me to believe that they would look at a cornerback like Marshon Lattimore, one of the most important positions in football, and say, no, we're not going to pay that guy. They're going to have to make tough decisions, but I think it's going to be hard to pry him away.
What do you think about Von Miller? You see, still on the other side of 30, coming off an ankle injury where he didn't play a lot. What do you think? What would you be willing to do? Do you think the Browns should be interested in Von Miller if, in fact, he becomes available?
Yeah, Von Miller's a guy who's been really productive. And you kind of compare him with J.J. Watt, and he's a guy that has actually been, I think, in recent years, has been better than J.J. Watt. Now, he's also been, this past season aside where he had the ankle injury, he's actually been healthier. Now, he missed this last season, so maybe that cancels all that out. But, that was sort of a freak injury. It was one of those things I think you can put aside. I don't think it'll have lasting effects. This is a guy that has played 15 games, 16 games almost every single year up until last year. Still productive, still gets after the quarterback. Joe Woods knows him really well. He's been a linebacker mostly in a 3-4, but I think Joe Woods would be able to work with him and make him work in this 4-3 scheme.
Would you be willing to pay him more than J.J. Watt?
I actually think I would. If it was between Watt and Miller as free agents, I think I would pay more for Miller.
Dan Labbe, Browns beat reporter here on cleveland.com, as well as in the pages of the Plain Dealer. We have to step aside, take a quick time out. On the other side of break, Dan will rejoin us for a little game. Dan, would you rather? Straight ahead. When the Weekend Winners Edition returns, stay with us.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Do you like Ohio State football? Would you like to get information from me, Doug Lesmerises, about Ohio State football without having to look at my face? We have got the plan for you. Become an Ohio State text subscriber through cleveland.com. You send a text, 614-350-3315. What do you get? 2, 3, 4 texts right in your phone every day about Ohio State football. Inside information, polls, voting, all kinds of things. You can be on our podcast. We take text subscriber questions on our Buckeye Talk podcast every week. If you really want to be involved with Ohio State football, in season or out of season, become an Ohio State text subscriber from cleveland.com. Send a text to 614-350-3315. 14-day free trial. What do you have to lose? $3.99 a month after that. 614-350-3315. I'll see you in your phone.
Tri-C is here for you. Now more than ever, you need a post-secondary education. So I encourage you to start your journey here at Tri-C. The majority of fall classes will take place online, but we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs, and we've taken many steps to keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your four-year plans have changed, Tri-C is where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. The Weekend Winners edition continues. I'm Dave Bacon. Time to bring back in Dan Lobby, and we're going to have a little bit of fun in this one, Dan. Something new. Dan, would you rather? And we're going to take a look at some free agents. We're going to start with edge rushers. So, Dan, would you rather sign Yannick Ngakoue, Trey Hendrickson, J.J. Watt, Carl Lawson, or Hassan Reddick? 5 edge rushers, free agents. Would you rather? Who are you looking at? Who do you like? Why do you like them?
There's some good names in there. The guy I really kind of like is Trey Hendrickson. I've thrown his name out there. We talked about Marshawn Lattimore as a guy that the Saints might have to make a decision on. I don't think they'll be able to pay Trey Hendrickson what he wants. You know, he tested really well back at the Combine, put up some testing numbers that I think the Browns analytics front office probably would really like. And then he had a kind of a breakout year last year. Now, he's only done it for 1 year, so that's kind of why you might go back to some of those testing numbers and say, hey, this guy fits the profile of a pass rusher that can continue to do it year over year. If you want to find a guy that you can pay maybe a multi-year contract for, put him next to Myles Garrett for 3 or 4 seasons, I think Trey Hendrickson could be that guy.
I kind of like the idea of Watt, and I know he's a little bit older, and I know there isn't as much left in the tank. The reason I like Watt is I think Watt gives you the cachet where you can move him around a little bit. You know, you can put him outside. He does play inside. There's just a lot of things you can do. Think about lining up Myles Garrett next to J.J. Watt as opposed to the other side. I mean, it's not like you can put 4 linemen on the same side of the line of scrimmage to try to block them.
Right. There's so many things you can do. The other thing Watt allows you to do is maybe plan for your future a little more. If you signed Hendrickson to, say, a 3 or 4 year deal, that's kind of your guy there. If you brought in Watt for 2 years, draft somebody at number 26, now all of a sudden you've kind of got, all right, here's Watt. He's going to be the guy. And this young guy behind him can kind of work his way in a little bit, and he'll be our guy, our edge rusher of the future across from Myles. It won't cost quite as much.
All right, we are going to move to cornerbacks. And, Dan, would you rather sign William Jackson, Shaquille Griffin, Brian Poole, Mike Hilton, or Richard Sherman? All right, Dan, who would you rather sign?
It's tempting to want to steal a guy like Mike Hilton from the Steelers and weaken that defense a little bit. You know, I really like Brian Poole. The only caveat there is I don't think you bring him in to be your outside corner. You're still going to have to solve that. But Brian Poole can be a guy in the slot. I think he's a really great slot corner. That's a really important position. You've got to have somebody that can shut down those slot receivers as teams use more 11 personnel and really spread things out more. I really like the idea of going out and getting Brian Poole and just knowing what you have on the inside. And then whatever you want to do on the outside, that's fine. Greedy Williams, draft somebody, whatever. But I like the idea of locking down that inside receiver with Brian Poole.
I kind of like the idea of Richard Sherman, and only from the standpoint of a cornerback has got to be he's got to be cocky, for lack of a better term. You're going to get beat, but you got to always be like, all right, do it again. And I love the attitude that Richard Sherman brings, and I think that would be something that might rub off on a Denzel Ward or some of the younger guys, a Greedy Williams. I think those are the kind of guys I want to lock in a cornerback room with Richard Sherman. An incredibly bright guy, very opinionated, but I kind of like the idea of trying to get him to rub off on the Browns' younger cornerbacks.
And a guy Joe Woods knows well. So he knows what he's bringing in. He knows how to manage that personality. And it is a polar opposite from Denzel Ward. And I don't think that's a bad thing either, to have kind of that one guy who's going to be sort of the spokesman of that room over there and let Denzel Ward just kind of do his thing on the other side. I liked the idea of Richard Sherman before. I still like that idea as well. I could go with either. I'm sticking with Poole here, but I'll listen to the arguments for Sherman.
Yeah, and Poole probably isn't going to cost you what Sherman will, at least for a year or two. All right, time to move on to safeties. And this round of Dan, would you rather sign Justin Simmons, Anthony Harris, Marcus Williams, John Johnson, or Marcus May? Dan, which safety free agent option would you rather sign for the Cleveland Browns?
John Johnson is really good. I think I'd maybe look at him. If I'm going to pay a safety, I might look at him because he can do it all, right? He can stop the run. He can cover. I think he's that versatile safety. He's a really good tackler. He's that versatile safety you're looking for at that position that can just do so many different things. You don't want a guy that's just going to line up 20 yards, the Greg Williams style single high safety. You want a guy who's versatile, that can mix things up. You're going to have Grant Delpit back, who's that same type of safety. You'll have Ronnie Harrison, who's that same type of safety. Joe Woods wants a lot of flexibility and versatility, and I think John Johnson is a guy that fits that.
And John Johnson, the proper age for what the analytics guys would be looking for as far as getting him in and having him as a longer-term piece.
Yeah, if you're going to pay a guy, it's going to be a guy kind of going into that second contract or, a third contract, but still early in his career. You're not going to pay long-term money to guys in their 30s.
All right, you got one more in you? Dan, would you rather? We're going to take a look at some defensive tackles. Dan, would you rather sign Leonard Williams, Shelby Harris, Sheldon Rankins, Ford, or Hassan Ridgeway? Dan, which free agent tackle would you rather sign?
You know what? Let's go big here. Let's go Leonard Williams. Let's bring in the big name on the market. A guy, we mentioned that versatility with J.J. Watt. I think he's really versatile along the line and lets you do a lot of things. Give me the big name. I'm going to spend a lot of Jimmy Haslam's money here, and I'm going to bring in the big name on that list in Leonard Williams.
Well, the price of gas is going up, so Jimmy's got more to spend. We'll spend it for him. Dan Lobby, we're going to take a quick time out. On the other side of the break, we continue this weekend winners edition, the roster building section, as we're going to take a look at some mock drafts. We'll find out who guys are projecting to go to the Browns, who Dan likes, who I like. We'll talk more Browns football mock drafts straight ahead. When the weekend winners edition continues, stay with us.
A friend of mine brought up Nature Stone.
Our floor was not a nice garage floor. It was cracked and dirty and messy all the time, and it's just pretty. It's a pretty garage floor.
You could tell they really cared about what they were doing. They did an excellent job.
There's a room of lovely people here that have been so nice to us and so great, and such great service from the guys who did the floor, and we just really appreciate that.
And I highly recommend it.
Schedule your free cost estimate today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Naturestone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Well, the draft is the other component to the roster building from free agency. We talked free agency last segment. Now we're going to turn our attention to the draft and the various mock drafts. As we take a look at a number of different mock drafts, let's take a look at who projects the Browns to take whom in this draft. Mel Kiper has them taking a linebacker, Zaven Collins from Tulsa. Chris Trapasso from CBS Sports has them taking an edge rusher, Basham from Wake Forest. Kwity Paye is who Sports Illustrated's Zach Patraw has him taking, and that has they have the Browns trading up to 14 to get Paye from Michigan. Brugler has him taking an edge rusher from Penn State. And Zach Jackson from The Athletic has them taking a cornerback from Northwestern. Let's bring back in Browns beat reporter for cleveland.com as well as in the Plain Dealer. Dan, everybody seems to think defense. I don't think it's any big secret. The question is, where do you think the Browns will attack? Well, which level of the defense, and how dependent is it on what they do in free agency? Is that going to tip their hand, do you think?
I think we'll have a kind of an idea of what they might do based on free agency, but I think one of the things to remember from last year is they sort of doubled up in a lot of ways. So, they went out and they signed Jack Conklin to play right tackle, and then they drafted Jedrick Wills to play left tackle. Even more doubling up, they signed a couple safeties on one-year deals, but then they drafted Grant Delpit, spent a bunch of money on Austin Hooper, but they drafted a tight end later. I don't think they're afraid to kind of double up in the draft and in free agency. The thing that stands out to me there is, even in the case of Zaven Collins, who's listed as a linebacker, I think if the Browns drafted him, they would view him more as a defensive end, sort of a slash edge rusher sort of guy. I don't know that they view him necessarily as a linebacker. So when you look at that list, outside of Zach, who picked a corner, and that's the other position I would kind of keep an eye on, you're looking at edge rushers, you're looking at pass rushers, defensive ends, and again, even with Collins, even though they list him as a linebacker, I think they would view him more as an end, and I think that's where they're going to go, either cornerback or end in that first round.
Let's take a little bit of a closer look at each of these guys. You mentioned Collins. You see the size, so again, that would certainly lend itself to potentially playing on the edge at 6'4", 260. He had 4 interceptions. 2 of them were pick sixes, and you saw a very, decorated defender. The question that I have is, Tulsa, linebacker from Tulsa, doesn't strike fear in my heart, but again, you see the athleticism. The one thing the Browns need to get is more athletic on the defensive side of the ball.
Absolutely. And when we're talking about these pass rushers, really keep an eye on as we go through these pro days, not just 40 times, but look at some of those 10-yard splits. Look at some of those 20-yard splits and just kind of circle some of the names that are at the top of those kind of splits as those come out. And hopefully we'll get those out of the pro days like we usually do out of the combine, because that sort of indicates explosiveness. When we talked about Trey Hendrickson early, that's one of the things that sort of stood out to me if the Browns were to go back and look at combine testing numbers. So as we go through pro days, just keep an eye on, it's not going to be the make or break with these guys, but from an analytics perspective, I think those splits at 10 yards and 20 yards are going to tell you, the Browns might kind of like this guy. And so if a guy like Collins ends up being really fast and being really athletic and having that explosiveness at the top of his 40-yard dash, it might be a name to circle even more.
Let's take a look at the second guy on that list, the defensive end from Wake Forest, Carlos Basham. You see, a little bit bigger, a little bit heavier, but again, you can put weight on these guys. Third team All-ACC, first team All-AECC in 2019. That you see the totals there as far as tackles for loss. 18 tackles for loss and 10 sacks in 2019. So had a little bit of a down year in 2020. And again, those are the guys that sometimes become steals later in that first round. For whatever reason, might have been playing banged up, didn't quite perform as much, but they find something in this game that they really like.
Yeah, and there is that production there. Even if the numbers were down, that production was there. And I was actually really a little surprised last year that the Browns made a few picks that kind of felt like they were based more on production than anything else. And a guy like Jacob Phillips had a bunch of tackles at LSU. So I don't think they're afraid to look at production and say, yeah, this guy produced in college. We think he can come to the NFL and produce. So this is another guy that, even with those numbers down, you like that size, you like that ability, you like the fact that he at least showed you in college that he can produce statistically.
All right, the next guy on our list, it's Zach Patraw's Kwity Paye. Ooh, Kwity. Quiddy's a little scary there with the smile. 6'4", 272. And again, you see a little bit better production in 2019. Only played 4 games, so he was banged up and did not play an entire season in his senior year. That again, it's a double-edged sword. You kind of project it out. You might have a question, can he stay healthy? Is he going to be able to take the pounding that playing on the line in the NFL does?
Yeah, and then look, that's why Andrew Berry and his staff get paid a lot of money to figure out to kind of project stuff like that. You can't project it all, but you can get that figured out. You look at the size of some of these guys, right? They're tall. They can kind of cause problems on that end for quarterbacks. He's another guy like that who can do it. The other thing, a big school, right? The Browns went heavy on the SEC last year. Michigan obviously is down, but there's still a big program that lands guys who were big-time recruits. The Browns took Donovan Peoples-Jones from Michigan last year, so I do think they value those guys that come from big programs as well.
Next up will be Dane Brugler's Jason Owa from Penn State, and 7 games, so shortened season because of COVID. Not quite as big as the other two, and again, 6.5 tackles for loss. It's almost a 1 per game. What are your thoughts on the defensive end from Penn State here, Jason Owa?
Yeah, I'm interested that he kind of showed up here. He's not really a name that I had seen a lot in these mock drafts until, Dane kind of put him there. That 252 pounds isn't ideal, but, if you get him up into that 260, 265 range, you can play defensive end in the NFL at that weight. It's kind of more built if you're muscular and you can carry that weight and add it and not lose that athleticism that I think the Browns value at that position. What you really wonder is, can you be a run stopper? Can you be a guy on that edge? Because with Miles on the other side, who has gotten better against the run, you want to have a guy that you can count on the other side to be able to stop the run a little bit as well. But that's an interesting name. It's the first time I'd really seen a mock draft that put him with the Browns.
All right, and Zach Jackson from The Athletic has the Browns going cornerback. Greg Newsom from Northwestern, 6'1", 190. You see, only 3 games. Again, Big Ten shortened with COVID. Pretty productive previous year, though, as well. First team All Big Ten. So when you look at that, what do you like about Greg Newsom? This is a guy that we have heard. We have heard his name a little bit connected to the Browns.
Right, and I like the size. He's not huge. He's only 6'1", but that's still a bigger corner than you have on the other side, and I think that's what you want. If you're going to draft somebody to pair with Denzel Ward on the other side, it's got to be a guy who's a little bit bigger. Obviously, you want to have a lot of speed over there, too, so you want that combination of size and speed. But I like the fact that you're looking at guys that are 6'1", 6'2", can run a little bit. That's the sort of player you're looking for. And I'm glad that Zach decided to put a corner here, because I think it's really easy to put a defensive end or, maybe a linebacker hybrid type there. But I wouldn't rule out corner, because you just can't count necessarily on Greedy Williams on that other side. So you've got to do something to address that position. And when you look at positional value, it kind of goes quarterback, and then depending who you talk to, either edge rusher and cornerback are 2 and 3 in some order. So I would definitely not rule out cornerback at that spot.
Yeah, and the Browns definitely have to get corners that can help them defend the pass for who they are going to be playing. Dan Lobby, Browns beat reporter here on cleveland.com, as well as in the pages of the Plain Dealer. As always, we appreciate the time and the insight. I'm sure we will be chatting more and more about the Browns building out this roster and signing some free agents as we get into March and beyond. Man, I'm going back in time instead of forward. Dan, appreciate the time. Thanks, buddy.
All right, thanks for having me.
All right, we are going to turn our attention to basketball. 2-time Horizon League Coach of the Year, Cleveland State's Dennis Gates. Straight ahead, when Weekend Winners Edition continues, stay with us.
We're living in uncertain times, but you don't have to put your future on hold. At Tri-C, you can move ahead while staying safe and saving money. The majority of fall classes will take place online, but we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs, and we've taken many steps to keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your 4-year plans have changed, check out Tri-C's programs and resources, because Tri-C is where futures begin.
Well, hello, everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about Browns Football Insider. For only $3.99 a month, you can get text sent right to your phone each day from me, Dan Lobby, Scott Pasco, and Ellis Williams. In addition to that, you'll receive a Football Insider newsletter every day with special things from us, things that you won't see anywhere else on the site. You'll get breaking news, analysis, features, film breakdown, and things like that. Texting us directly gives you a great chance to cut through the clutter of Facebook, Twitter, other social media, and avoid the trolls. Also, it's the only way to get your questions on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. So why should you sign up? Try a 14-day free trial. You can cancel at any time. All it takes is one text, but you won't want to cancel. We have hundreds of subscribers join us over the last year. They love it and have stayed with us. We're seeing the Football Insider community grow every week, and it's only $3.99 a month, which is less than 14 cents a day. What I like most about Football Insider is the opportunity to connect with you one-on-one and really communicate with you. So how can you become a Football Insider? You can click on cleveland.com/Browns, the blue banner at the top of the page. Or easier yet, text me at 216-208-3965. Again, that's 216-208-3965.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant. Whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at smiley1.com.
The Weekend Winners Edition continues. Thanks for joining us. I'm Dave Bacon. We're going to turn our attention from football to college basketball, and it is a great time of year in college basketball. Conference tournaments leading to the NCAA tournaments. All of those things are on the mind of our next guest, Dennis Gates, head coach of the Cleveland State Vikings. Coach, I appreciate your time. Last time it was your birthday. You're joining us before conference tournament time. You're going to become known as a friend of the program. We appreciate it very much. Let's take a look at this year from your perspective. You tie for the regular season spot. You get the top spot in the Horizon League tournament. How happy are you with where you sit now as you get ready for the Horizon League tournament?
Well, I want to first say thank you for having me on and obviously discussing CSU men's basketball program. Definitely appreciate what you do. We're very excited about where we are, the progress that we have made. We're not by any means complacent. We're excited to get into the next phase of our season as we've just exited phase one, and that was regular season play. So we're very excited.
Now, let's take a look back at some of the highlights from regular season play. A number of individual honors as the Horizon League named their superlatives. And, we'll take a look at the highlights of the season first. A 16-4 record. That's the most conference wins in program history. First time atop of the Horizon League since 2010, 2011. And we'll get into some of the things there. Here is Coach of the Year. Coach, 2 years there, second year as part of the Coach of the Year in the Horizon League. Trey Gamillion, Defensive Player of the Year, has only been done 2 times in program history. Torrey Patton, a guy that transferred in his first team All-League. And you got 2 guys on the All-Defensive first team in addition to Trey Gamillion, the Defensive Player of the Year, Deontay Johnson. Very, very talented defensive big. Coach, I know the mindset is when you take care of business as a team, individual honors follow. I've heard you say that to me before. How happy are you that a lot of your players got some recognition league-wide?
Well, it's great for our institution, great for our program to be recognized by the peers, our coaching peers, my coaching peers in that manner. I think our players were surprised and shocked. I tell them all the time, people are watching no matter what you think, no matter what you do. And that's a reward for their hard work, their focus, their level of play. And I truly believe, like you said, you win a game and you win a possible league championship. You put yourself in those discussions along the way. It's the byproduct of a team winning. Individual awards will come. You just don't know where and what direction they will be given. But our guys are humbled. I am humbled to receive such confidence from our peers in our conference.
You've been there 2 years. You've been Coach of the Year a couple times. How does that happen? Who do you credit for that? I mean, at some point in time, there's going to be a letdown where you're not the conference Coach of the Year. But who do you credit for that?
Well, first, the opportunity. I think President Sands, Scott Garrett, the opportunity that they gave me and have given me here from that first phone call is very important, man. And whenever you can be a first-time head coach at an institution and get the vote of confidence from some unbelievable leaders, it gives you confidence to lead the program. So I want to thank them first and foremost. But none of this is possible. This award belongs to our program. It belongs to our institution. It speaks, obviously about the level of connection our guys have and our core values. And they galvanized it within their competitive spirit. So it belongs to our players, our parents, and our staff. Those three elements are very important whenever this accolade comes about. Although there's one name etched on it, it should be shredded into several pieces and bear probably no less than 25 names. And my mentors, Leonard Hamilton and George Raveling, those guys have consistently answered the call late night when I've been able to reach out and have the smallest question, and it belongs to them too.
You had two guys on the all-defensive team. Is that kind of an indication of what you value as a team, that you want your guys to get out and play some defense?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's some great defenders, some great players in this conference, and some great coaches. But you have to look at those guys putting our team, our program in a place where we're looked upon as earning the #1 seed. And when that happens, Trey Gomillion being named Defensive Player of the Year, Torrey Patton being named First Team All-Conference, Deontay Johnson being named All-Defensive Team. Those are accolades that these kids can definitely hang on their shoulders, but also reference to how to build, how to endure tough times, and how to obviously stick together during a pandemic. So I'm proud of these guys. I'm proud of our program, and we're looking forward to what's next in phase 2 of our season, and that's our postseason Horizon League tournament.
Tell me a little bit about Torrey. That's a guy that I know has kind of found his place in this program. What do you like about him? What did you see from him? What made you think he could be the contributor that he is?
Well, Torrey is a very versatile player. He's a very good rebounder. And I think, when you look at what he does, he just produces, man. He produces whatever his teams need to come out with a victory. He's led us and been very consistent in certain areas. When you look at obviously what he's done throughout his career, being able to come from a great junior college program, he's done wonders, man. And being back home is something that he has been excited about. It's something that his family has been excited about, and he definitely fits into what we're doing. And this award he humbly accepts. But remember, last season he thought his name should have been on something in the postseason awards, and he used it in a positive way to continue to grow, continue to get better, and the results are what they are this year. And he had a mission, and that's what he accomplished.
Let's talk about that regular season finale. Needed to win that one to get that top spot and a share of the Horizon League championship. You're down in the second half by a couple of points, and you call the number of Jeremy Sanchez. Now, this is a guy that had only played 10 minutes all season long. Tell me about Jeremy, what you were looking for and what you got.
Well, our staff, after that tough loss on Friday night, we looked at it and analyzed the tapes. And we have a wonderful staff: Rob Summers, Drew Joyce III, and Ryan Sharbaugh, Dickie Nutt, Chase Goldstein, and Rosby Mutcherson. So we looked at the tape and was able to see what we were really missing. And at that point, our jolt of energy that we usually have, we had a little less of it. And for whatever reason it is, it comes back at that end of the year where you got to get through the bumps and bruises and have that spark. And our guys just wasn't having it at that moment. We lost that game on Friday. So Saturday, I saw how the first half was going. And then in the second half, you look you look at, okay, what answers can we have for certain situations, certain scenarios? I knew we had to fight back as we entered halftime with a deficit. So the only name that popped into my head was Jeremy Sanchez. He was a kid that started 9 games last year, played in 25 games total. And I knew he had the experience, he had the discipline of the moment, but I knew he would be ready. This season, he only had limited minutes. Obviously, we increased our depth, but he played 5 games total. And at that point, I wanted to offensive, defensive sub to give us the energy and the spark that I knew his teammates would follow. I knew that his energy would be duplicated. I knew that his passion would be duplicated. And if we had to come back, there's no other person that in our program that we would have had entered the game at that moment but him. Deontay Johnson went down with an injury. He is our energy guy, but his injury didn't allow him to move the way that we've normally had him. So Jeremy was ready, man, and he's definitely the MVP.
All right, Coach Gates, Horizon League Coach of the Year. We're going to step aside, take a quick timeout. On the other side of the break, we're going to look forward to the Horizon League tournament and beyond with CSU head coach Dennis Gates. Weekend Winners Edition will be right back. Stay with us.
Shelley, our garage floor is just awful.
I know. We really need Nature Stone.
Cracks, uneven concrete, it's slippery.
I keep telling you, we need Nature Stone.
Coach, only Nature Stone solves all those problems. That's why it comes with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty.
And Nature Stone is absolutely beautiful and so easy to clean.
Schedule today at naturestone.com and get up to half your garage floor free. Hurry, offer ends soon.
Herb, Nature Stone fixed every problem in our garage.
I told you.
It's not just a floor.
Wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget, Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. The Weekend Winners Edition continues. We continue talking Cleveland State men's basketball with head coach Dennis Gates. Coach, again, appreciate your time, and let's look forward. So now you are the top seed in the Horizon League tournament. You get a bye through the first round, but that means you don't play for about 9, 10, 11 days. What do you do to keep the guys fresh? Is that a concern? How do you deal with an entire week off?
Well, you have to reset yourself mentally, physically, and emotionally. I think the first and foremost is healing our bodies. Max Benton, our trainer, Tim Bilbrey, our strength and conditioning coach, we definitely want to put these guys in a situation where their body heals and we get through the nuances of a season, the wear and tear, and rejuvenate their bodies. We have some injuries going on that we have to continue to heal through. But most importantly, mentally, we got to make sure we continue to stay locked in and emotionally, not allow the moment to allow us to forget the importance of what we are about to embark on. It's postseason play, and in postseason play, you win or you lose. And going home is on the other side of an exciting game, but we have to do our part in putting our team in position where we can continue to control our own destiny.
When you look at having that time off, do you try to make the practices a little more like game type situations? How do you deal with not playing a game when you know that the team you're going to face, has played over the weekend? They didn't play over the weekend, but they played Thursday, if you will.
Well, I think what we've been able to do this season is concentrate on Cleveland State University men's basketball. And we are our first and number one opponent each and every game. And secondly, we prepare for that opponent that's coming in or that whom we have to travel to. The interesting dynamic in all of that is preparing mentally and physically and emotionally to endure what we had to embark on. And that was 2 straight games back to back playing the same team. Well, now we have to rewire our mental approach and understand that the team we face are going to give their very, very best without any doubt or any doubt of the imagination, simply because it's one game or go home for them as well. Our conference, top to bottom, is loaded with talent, loaded with great players and great coaches. And I just truly believe once these games take place Thursday, we have to reorganize and see who it is that we play. So these first couple days was meant for our body, our minds, our mental and our emotions to heal and get past, and also, enjoy what we've accomplished. That's an important feat that is a part of our overall plan. Phase 1 is over. Phase 2 is conference tournament. Phase 3 is trying to win the NCAA national championship. And what we've had our eyes on from day one is the NCAA championship. And that game is on April 5th, on Monday, April 5th. And hopefully we do the necessary things to get to that moment.
What's the message to the team as you get ready for that first tournament game? What do you tell them? I'm sure it's going to be repeated several times before then.
Yeah, I tell you what, giving your very best has been what we've focused on, but we've also focused on our 8 core values of friendship, love, accountability, trust, discipline, unselfishness, enthusiasm, and toughness. And there's not anything that we don't do without that, either in our pockets, on our chest, or in our hearts and in our spirits. We have to continue to filter all our actions through those 8 core values, because I truly believe that's what's going to lead us into having a successful completion of the next phase and then the phase after that. But you can only concentrate on where you are, and where we are right now is in that first minute of possibly 120 total conference tournament minutes. So that's the most important minute, but minute 41 isn't guaranteed unless you take care of minute 1 through 40. So our focus is directly tied to that. And I wanted to make sure that our guys understand that the teams that we've played this year have evolved. They've gotten better. And nor are they the same teams that they were on that calendar day. And we are not the same team as well. So as the season goes, each program evolves and they go through the learning lessons that a game has taught them. I'm just happy that our conference, our commissioner, our leadership has gotten us through 20 games, because we're a completely different program than we were in game 1. And now that we have been through 20 games and the 21st game is coming up.
When Cleveland State is playing the type of basketball you want them to, what are we seeing on the court from the Vikings?
I think you're seeing those 8 core values, to be honest with you, and those guys being as connected as they can be in that moment. You're seeing unselfish spirit. You're seeing a hunger and a quest and a focus that can bring hopefully more and more victories. But you're seeing a group of guys that love each other. You're seeing a group of guys that have withstood the test of time. And I'll speak about it because it's the elephant in the room. Our non-conference schedule, we played Toledo, we played Ohio and Ohio State. And the game against Ohio, obviously, social media, the news, and everyone else, it was shown in a different way that we wasn't proud of. But I think that moment taught us a lesson that, collectively we can do something special. And I truly believe you go through things, you go through different obstacles just so you can continue to grow. And that was a moment. Our non-conference schedule was a moment where we saw growth, but also each game in our conference, as we've gone through 20, has allowed us to continue to grow and see the best version of ourselves. I still believe the best basketball is ahead of us.
How excited are you, and how excited is your team? It's tournament basketball. You count to 3, and then it's an NCAA tournament if you get 3 more wins. you're 3 wins away from being in the tournament you want to be in.
Yeah. I don't think we look at it that way. We want to take care of the moment, and the moment is one game at a time, and that's how we've been able to move forward in the phase 1 of our season. Phase 2, yes, we know what is on the line. We understand that, but we also know the other side of our goals, and our goals is to win a national championship, a NCAA tournament championship. And when you do those things and you dream big and you work as hard and your vision is aligned in that capacity, there are things that you earn along the way. So the pressure on our guys is to win a national championship. What you get along the way is something that we've gone through phase 1 in our regular season, and hopefully we can continue to go forward and move in the right direction in phase 2 of our conference tournament season.
Dennis Gates, men's basketball coach at Cleveland State, officially a friend of the program now. You are welcome anytime. Anytime you want on our show, we are more than happy to have you. Congratulations on Horizon League Coach of the Year, and go get him in the Horizon League tournament. Thanks very much, Coach.
Thank you, and go Vikes.
All right. Dennis Gates, head coach of Cleveland State's men's basketball team. We're going to step aside, take a quick time out. We will head down to spring training with the Indians coming up when the Weekend Winners Edition continues. Stay with us.
Shelly, we really need to get Nature Stone in our basement.
I know, Herb, and it would look great in our laundry room, too.
Coach, only Nature Stone is perfect for your basement and laundry room because it never needs replaced like damp carpet and moldy tile. That's why it comes with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty.
And Nature Stone is absolutely beautiful and so easy to clean.
Schedule today at naturestone.com and get up to half your basement or laundry room floor free. Hurry, offer ends soon.
Shelly, Nature Stone is perfect for our laundry room and basement.
I told you.
It's not just a floor.
Wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line, a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions, or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
The Weekend Winners Edition continues. I'm Dave Bacon. Time to turn our attention to baseball. Governor DeWine announced this week that the Indians will be allowed to have 30% capacity at Progressive Field for April home games. That means about 10,000 fans, a little over 10,000 actually, can watch the Tribe at Progressive Field in April. On the field, down in Arizona, Indians are getting ready for their first exhibition game of the year. They'll face the Cincinnati Reds. That happening Sunday afternoon. They will be a very young team this year. The Indians' starting pitching figures to be their strength, but it will be a young starting rotation. 23-year-old Tristan Mckenzie made his major league debut last year. 6 starts, was 2-1 with a 3.24 ERA. The success showed Tristan his stuff would play at the major league level. It motivated him to work even harder in the offseason and makes him one of the young guys the Indians are exciting to build around. And Tristan is a guy that had missed a couple of years due to various injuries, pitched very well last season.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say this offseason was definitely more insightful than a lot of my past ones, just from the fact that I kind of got a taste of what the big leagues was like, and I definitely want a little bit more of it. So I definitely took the time this offseason to really focus in and hone in on what I needed to do to come out here and just perform day in and day out. I'd say a lot of the stuff is more off field. I feel like a lot of the stuff when you're out on the field and you're competing, a lot of that stuff handles itself. Going out there and playing with the guys is the same thing that you've been doing for years on end as a baseball player for the most part. And when in the off season is where you can get a lot of the work done without having to focus on a lot of the intangibles about playing the game and focusing on the other team. I'd say on debut day, once I kind of got out there and I was able to see how my stuff performed against big league hitters and I felt comfortable on the mound, by the end of the season, I felt that if I was able to perform and make sure I was healthy and go out there and do all the stuff off the field, I'd be able to go out there and compete. I've never honestly looked at it like that. It's more just I'm out there playing with the guys. I feel like I'm trying to keep up at certain points. Just going and watching Bieber throw, going and watching Savali throw, going and watching Plesac throw, or just last year having Frankie behind me, I felt like a little kid in a candy store, just kind of starstruck and just trying to keep up with those guys.
23-year-old Tristan Mckenzie trying to win a spot in the Indians' starting rotation. Good to see him healthy and throwing the ball the way he can. Again, Indians open up Cactus League play 1 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. 3 o'clock our time, 1 o'clock Arizona time. That'll do it for the Weekend Winners Edition. Stay safe, everybody. Have a great weekend. We'll see you again back here next week on Friday with the Weekend Winners Edition.